Welcome to the Berea podcast. As 2017 comes to a close, we are going to re-release some of our favorite episodes over the past year, hoping to share some of our favorite old episodes with new listeners. So enjoy this, one of our favorite episodes of 2017. Welcome to the Berea podcast. This is Troy.
And this is Della.
Hey, Della, do you remember when you were a college freshman and you just came to Berea for the first time?
I do. Mm-hmm.
Was one of the things that you quickly stumbled upon is that it felt like it rained in Berea all the time?
I did. In fact, I had this theory that it made my hair the curliest it had ever been. Because while I was at Berea, I let my hair grow out. And I had all these curls, and there were several of us that were friends who had curly hair, and we would sort of do our head banging, and we would laugh. And I was convinced that it was the humidity in Berea had made my hair extra curly.
And I paid $20 for an umbrella after coming to Berea, and I had never paid for an umbrella before.
We never owned an umbrella.
Right.
You're right. It was so foreign to me that, you would actually own an umbrella, right?
But there was the need in Berea because, again, I thought it rained in Berea all the time.
I did too. I remember a friend of mine, she had this huge umbrella, and she had her name on it. And I just remember I could see her from across campus coming with her name in huge letters on her huge umbrella. That was such a thing when we were in college here, was to have an umbrella, make sure you kept your umbrella, because it felt like it rained all the time.
Sure enough. Then we moved back to Berea recently, and you know what I concluded again?
What?
It rains in Berea all the time. I
thought so too. And I thought, my hair is going to be so curly again. I was so excited.
Oh, joy.
I was so excited because, I don't mind curly hair, right? As long as it's actual curls and not frizz. And I was convinced, I'm going to look like I did when I was 20. I'm also going to lose 30 pounds because it rains all the time in Berea.
We have the means now of the mighty Berea podcast to put this to rest forever. We contacted Bill Meck from WLEX 18 and posed the question, does Berea get more rain than all around? Why is that? The mountains and the pinnacles are just outside of Berea. Is it the topography? Is it just that we're good, clean living and it attracts more rain? We asked an actual meteorologist to tell us what the deal was, and he recorded this for us. So, Bill Meck, take it away.
Well, hey there, guys, and what an honor to be on the Berea podcast here. Berea really is one of my favorite towns in all of central Kentucky, and there are actually a couple of reasons why. First of all, it makes great alliteration when I talk about beautiful Berea, which actually goes hand in hand. But Berea is still an independent town, and it's a nice-sized town. You've got most of our counties here have their one town that's the county seat, and that's about all you ever hear about. But Berea, you guys get to stand alone, so that for me is kind of important. There are a couple others that are around the area as well, but that's one of the aspects I love about Berea is that, again, you're a place. You're a real place. You're also a railroad town, and I'm a train fanatic. And so on my many, many visits through Berea, I will often stop down, not downtown, but down at the bottom of the hill there in the art district by the old depot. And I'll sit there and watch trains go by for a little while. And that's usually before I head off into the schools there. Speaking of the schools, and Berea has a very special place with me. There are two schools left that I have been to every single year with Bill's Weather 101 since 1999. It's Berea and Wilmore, another similar city where it's a railroad town that's its own little town or own city within a county and not just Nicholasville. So meanwhile, back at Berea, the teacher there, and it's the same teacher I've worked with since 1999. It's Rita Payne, and she's my teacher wife. We joke about that. We've watched each other's kids grow up. And it's been an amazing relationship. But we noticed it, or we knew it was coming a couple of years ago, where I was going to get the second generation of kids, where I taught their parents as fourth graders and now have them as fourth graders, which means I've been hanging around here for a while. And it's a wonderful, wonderful thing. So again, Berea is one of my absolute favorite places, and of course, it's a beautiful, beautiful city. I got to be the Grand Marshal once there in the Christmas parade. So again, it's a place where I make it a point whenever I'm driving into Southern Kentucky for Weather 101. I'll always hop on Highway 25 so that I can come through Berea and enjoy everything that it has to offer there. So again, that's my story with Berea. Now, let's talk about the weather of Berea. And you posted the question that, it seems like our weather is always different than what goes on wherever. That storms always seem to miss us. And I hear that about every single place. So somebody's got to be getting the storms because they seem to be missing everybody else's hometown. And we actually jokingly refer to it here in Lexington as the Lex Dome when we watch storms kind of scoot around. But storms do, and rain and snow and all that, they do what they're going to do. The topography plays a little bit of a role where, we're sitting here in Berea. We're right on the edge of the knobs. So again, you head toward Rockcastle County or toward Jackson County, and you start getting into a much hillier terrain. If you're heading north back up toward Richmond or toward the depot, it's a more of a plateau or just gently rolling. So there may be a little bit of an enhancement where a storm may try and follow along the knobs there. And on a northwest flow, you might get a slight uptick in a local rainfall, but not widespread or general. And I even did the numbers. So because I am a man of science and precision, we went ahead and did the numbers. I compared Berea, and it's from Berea College, which had a record that dated back to the early 1900s. They stopped recording, though, in the early 2000s. So Berea College, London, which is from the London Corbin Airport, and from Lexington at the Bluegrass Airport. So here's let's first establish what these places are, where they are. For Lexington, it sits at 979 feet, and it's basically on a plateau. For the London Corbin Airport, I was actually surprised that it was 1,187 feet in elevation. That, again, you're getting into the Cumberland Escarpment, the Cumberland Plateau down there. And finally, Berea College sits at 1,069 feet. At least that's the information that I was able to get from the Kentucky Climate Center located down at Western Kentucky University in Bowling Green. So, the numbers. And again, if you're looking for any differences, in terms of rainfall, Berea averages 47.16 inches of rain, or melted snow, precipitation in a year. London measures 47.14, so 2/100ths of an inch difference. So again, not a whole lot of difference there. Lexington's actually a little bit drier. The Lexington average was 45.17. So that it's for some reason a little drier in Lexington. So again, with the upslope there, you might get a little bit of enhancement in the rainfall in Berea with that upslope there compared to Lexington. In terms of temperature, Berea is actually the warmest of the bunch, and it has to do with the low temperatures. So here we go. For Berea, the average high is 68. For London, it was 67.5, and for Lexington, 65.3. So again, Berea a little bit warmer there. The low temperature, and this is where your average kicks up, and it might be because Berea College sits up there on a hill as opposed to down in a valley. 48.2 was the average low, making for 58.1 the average temperature overall. London and Lexington both, the average low temperature was 46. So again, Berea does average a little bit warmer. And again, maybe because it does sit up there on the hill, the high temperature difference wasn't all that much, but the low temperature, especially compared to London, was a little more significant. Again, that may be because Berea College sits up there on a hill. So if you're looking for some similarity, you're pretty similar to London, a little different than Lexington's weather, even though we kind of do broad brush you all the same with our forecast, since our coverage area runs all the way from, we start in Lexington, obviously, but we're not a perfect circle for our viewing area. We go north halfway to Cincinnati, west halfway to Louisville, but we do go all the way to the Tennessee line and just about to Virginia and West Virginia. So again, we cover a lot of real estate and we kind of broad brush the forecast. But when something specific's going on, like severe weather, obviously we hone right in there on Berea and in the surrounding case. And boy, you guys are growing quick down there too, especially that area a little west of I-75. So again, you're one of my favorite spots in the whole wide world. Always think of yourself as beautiful Berea. And again, weather-wise, you get pretty much the weather that everybody else gets. You just get it at different times. Everything averages out. That's the thing to take away. Everything averages out in the long run. You may be looking at this line of storms that's going gangbusters, coming through Garrett County, up even to Richmond, and then you see it fall apart as it gets to you. But then the next batch of storms may miss those folks and then gets you. So again, with time, everything does average out. So again, thank you for letting me be part of the Berea podcast. Who knew we could go 7.5 minutes without even really trying? So again, hopefully you don't edit this too much. And again, thank you for letting me be a part of your podcast. And we'll give it back to you guys.
Thank you, Bill Mack. That was fabulous, although disappointing to hear that we are just like every other town in Kentucky that thinks our weather is so unusual. We always seem to be getting more rain and the big storms.
It all averages out.
It all averages out. But we did learn one thing.
Well, we learned two things, actually. The first thing, it was wonderful to hear someone who doesn't live in Berea talk about how wonderful Berea was and how they're connected to Berea and how they like to come and just sit.
It proves what we have been saying all along, Tori, that Berea is a wonderful town.
So that's fact number one, absolutely. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Number two was Berea has hot nights.
True.
I think they should remake Dirty Dancing 2, not Havana Nights, but Hot Berea Nights. I swear I had the time of my life in Hot Berea
you sang
Nights.
in this one.
I
usually sing.
Oh, there you go.
We learned one more thing.
What?
We learned that Bill Mack has a teacher wife.
That is so true.
He loves Rita Payne. That was so fabulous to hear. Unexpected. I had no idea. That shows how connected he is to the town and how great it is that Rita Payne has made that happen so much that he comes and speaks to the kids. That's fabulous.
Annually.
Right.
That is so good. Well, I hope you enjoyed this truth bomb about the Berea weather. And if you've got any ideas for future shows, and this is the last time I'm going to talk about it, but if you have any special bumper stickers you see around Berea, take a picture and add it to the Berea Podcast Facebook page. So go to Facebook, search the Berea Podcast, we'll come up, and then just post the bumper sticker that you think is the best in Berea. With that said, see you next week.
Bye.
Today is why I stay.